Hi, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome back to Naylo's Thrift Talk. And if you're new here, I'm Lola.
And I'm Nay.
And Nay, do you want to give our spiel?
Yes, so we are all about thrifting. We thrift for resale. We sell on multiple platforms, Poshmark, Depop, eBay, Mercari. But we also thrift for sentimentality reasons, to keep things for environmental reasons, keep things out of the waste stream. And we have an appreciation of vintage items and things that, are unique to the thrift store that you can't find, in a mass produced setting of a department store. So kind of thing.
Absolutely. And we've been doing a few episodes highlighting our favorite tips and tricks for the different platforms we sell on. And we realized that somehow we hadn't done eBay yet. So
we did Poshmark tips, we did Depop. We realized that we've somehow skipped over eBay tips. So we're doing kind of our best. These aren't necessarily our 10 only top tips, because we have many, but these are 10 of the best ones that we feel are helpful. And they're for a range of skill set, from newer eBayers to seasoned eBayers. Hopefully everyone will learn something and get some good advice.
Absolutely, yes. So we always try to do kind of a range of tips, just like Nay said, because we know that our viewers have different levels of experience and different levels of experience on different platforms. So, you might be a seasoned Poshmarker, but are thinking about, trying out eBay. So we definitely have some advice for you if that's your situation. And we have our weekly usual segments. So Nay, what are you wearing today?
So I am wearing a faux Burberry-esque headband. It's not. It kind of looks like the I think it's called the Nova print.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually just generic. It was like in one of those baggies on the wall. Thrift store earrings. And last week I was wearing my Phillies shirt. This week I'm wearing my Mets shirt. So
because you're smack dab in the middle. So
yeah, I think I paid like $3.99 for the shirt.
as long as you don't wear a Yankee shirt, because then we couldn't be friends anymore.
Well, I am not really necessarily a Mets fan, but I like the shirt, and I thrifted it after I moved back to, because now like my home team will always be Phillies, because I'm a Philly girl at heart. But now that I'm back in my hometown where I grew up, I'm closer to New York City, so Mets and Yankees are what's here. And if I did go out with a Philly shirt, people would probably give me funny stares, but I don't care. I still love Philly. So
Absolutely. I miss the Philly. I miss baseball in general.
Yeah,
we'll say that. I'm excited for it to come back eventually.
And what are you wearing today, Lola?
I am wearing, so as you guys know, I've been having a bunch of health problems, and I realized that instead of just like living my life in sweats and t-shirts, because I just have to kind of be comfortable all the time, and I tend to sort of need a nap at the drop of a hat. So I'm always like in something I can just sort of lay down in. And I decided I don't have to not dress in a cute, kind of trendy way, in a way that makes me feel happy. So, of course, I went on eBay. And this is a pajama set. So I'm also wearing the shorts, but it's,
super cute.
Print. Yeah. It's by Plum Pretty Sugar, which is a company that for some reason I happened to stumble upon back when they were just on Etsy. I think they started off selling like vintage fabric. And so it was very much these like floral prints, but real like vintage fabric. And now they're a fairly well-known like sleepwear. They make robes that are sort of designed to wear if you're in a wedding party. So like when we got married, all of our bridesmaids we gave them robes from this company.
Oh.
So I've been a fan for a long time, and I was really excited to find this like perfect summery sleep set on eBay. I know I did a best offer. I think I paid like $30. And I don't remember if that was plus or including shipping, but it's like, a lightweight.
Very cute. I love the print.
Yeah.
And the shirt you have under it matches.
And you gave me this, and it matches perfectly.
That's right. That's the shirt. That's one of the shirts that I
yeah, it was from Target. And I claimed it. And you sent me a big box of stuff, and I kept
Great
this.
color. Yeah, it's comfort. I have not dressed, cute or for a while. Like I'm just living in comfortable t-shirts and just because I don't really go anywhere, it's
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, resellers are sort of an interesting group because we've always had that like work from home. Like we don't really necessarily leave the house every day, kind of like we don't go into an office. But I'm sure for everyone still that being home more often because of COVID, it's still our wardrobes are changing. And I know I'm not the only one, although I have my own stuff going on for why that's the case. But I definitely think you can be comfy and fashionable at the same time. And
yes.
so that's my new goal. I'm going to revamp my wardrobe.
Sounds like a wonderful goal.
And what is your thrifted home decor item for today?
I have now this is not thrifted, but again, it's something that you would find in the thrift store and something that I'm actually looking for in the thrift store to find more of the set. So my mom saved this. This was mine when I was a little girl.
Oh,
It is Oneida and it's very vintage. You can see the vintage script logo there, the Oneida.
wow,
So
it's so pretty.
yeah, so I had the whole set. I don't think my mom still has, I had the cups and everything. So, it's something that I'm always like on the lookout for in the thrift store. But I had other little I have a couple others too at home that were from my childhood. Adorable. Like some of them have bunnies on them, some of them have like other characters and whatnot, but they're super cute. I wish they still made things just as cute. And then this is something that I did thrift. This is from Japan. It is odagiri, and it is a little Japanese teacup. And I have a whole collection of little Japanese and Chinese teacups and teapots in my china closet. So this is one of them. And they're not worth that much individually, maybe as a set they would be, but I just like to I have a little collection of them going on. So when I do find them at the thrift store, I'll usually pick them up, and it's got the original Odagiri sticker, handcrafted in Japan. That's obviously vintage. So
That's so pretty. That actually kind of dovetails nicely with my item, which is that I have been collecting for a while different size, like shape and type of little containers that I can use for like succulent planters or other types of planters. So this is, I actually never heard of this until I found it. And I remember Googling it, but I don't remember what I learned, except for this is definitely like a tourist kind of item, like you would buy on vacation. And it says rarest of all woods, myrtle, handcraft by the House of Myrtle Wood, Coos Bay, Oregon. So
yeah,
I have some like, you can't really, so you can sort of see that the label's like super mid-century looking.
Oh yeah,
awesome.
awesome.
And I started putting perlite and some rocks in the bottom so I can put a succulent in here. Otherwise, I'd just show you the bottom. And then this one didn't have a label on the bottom, but it is some sort of like turned wood. It's like one piece of wood. So I think wood will work fine for succulents just because you want to keep them as dry as possible.
Right.
Oh, this is a great question.
Yeah, I know. They use something fantastic because let me tell you, I have even, accidentally, like I've come home from the thrift store and I've washed things and the sticker has still stayed intact because, I usually try to, if the sticker's on there, I usually don't get it wet, but I've accidentally gotten them wet before and it still stayed. So yeah, they had some mighty fine glue back then.
It's funny.
Yes.
And then my last one is, this is a Upco USA planter, also mid-century. And I definitely remember I looked this up on eBay and Etsy just to see if it was like the comps were decent and if I should keep it or sell it. And they weren't super high, but definitely, flippable if you're finding us for a couple dollars.
Yeah.
Especially in small
something that you could also, I was just going to say, took the words out of my mouth. If you lot things like that, definitely. And I love the tourist items from back in the day because they're, now they're just cheaply made in China, but back then they were so cute and well crafted. It's totally different quality.
Yeah, and it's always interesting to me to see how things change over the years. Like they used to be frequently made in Japan, and it would actually be sort of advertised on it like this is a made in Japan item to remember your travels to Florida.
Yeah, exactly, right?
So it's just like an interesting piece of culture that I love thrifting. Okay, Nate, do you want to take it away with our first of our eBay tips?
Yes. So our first tip is to use the make offer to buyers feature. And I will say, to check your app, or, I use the mobile app all the time, but if you use, Seller Hub on the desktop, that too shows you where, what items are eligible for to make an offer to the buyer. And they do, it is a criteria. It's not, you can't make an offer to all likers or watchers like you can in Poshmark, but it's people that have, I think they have to have clicked in and they show like a little extra interest and they've watched your item, and that's the criteria. I think, there's a certain, but so it's not all listings. I kind of wish it was like all watchers, it is mass, but I love that they have this feature now, because for a long time they didn't. And it's so easy to make offers from the mobile app throughout the day. You can do it wherever you are. And you can also add a message to the buyer with the offer, like reminding them that it includes free shipping, or, here's your chance to get this item at a great place, or thank you for your interest, some kind of nice note. And I do always click on the counter offer, unless it's your bottom offer. I think that kind of invites a little more negotiation, So, and it doesn't hurt. And then often they will result in sales. So don't ignore the feature. It was a long time coming, and I'm so glad that they added it in. So that's one of my favorite eBay features now. So there it is in my Seller Hub there. Right there, suggested off auctions. And if you're in the app, the mobile app, same thing. It's very prominent. And I would suggest to do this multiple times per day. And there you go. That's my list from yesterday that was available for offers. And it's just really quick. You just click the send offer, and takes 2 seconds. You can there's the allow counter offers checkbox and a message to your buyers. So really simple, really quick. And I highly recommend, you should definitely be doing this every day, and a few times a day. You should be checking to see what you can send offers, because you have to remember that those buyers have recently shown interest in your item. So the faster you make the offer, the more recent the item still is on the buyer's mind, So if you wait, like a couple days, they might have bought something else already, or moved on, or forgotten about it. So you want to get those out quickly.
Yeah, that's a great point. So I thought that you had to have liked it and visited the page, like shown some sort of active interest in the item. But I definitely recently got an offer for an item that I had only looked at because I was looking at comps. Like I definitely was not watching it. I had not saved it. So I wonder if that's changing, or if there's like some
there's got to be some algorithm, some mysterious algorithm trigger that that triggers the algorithm to send it. I kind of wish it was just if you people that watch the item, like the likers and Poshmark,
like on exactly, on Poshmark.
And maybe someday it'll come to that, but right now they just select based on a certain criteria, determining that these are the people that are most interested in your item. And
totally, yeah.
But I do get a lot of sales from that, so I love the feature.
And I prefer that to like promote. Like I've sort of started leaning on that more than promoted listings, because promoted listings tend to surprise you how much they end up costing, or you forget, or you're not sure it's through promoted or not, and then you see your eBay fees and you're like, oh shoot.
So I didn't mention promoted listings. I was going to mention that a little bit, but I do want to say on the promoted listings, I have found that on your more rare items, you don't really need to promote them, because there's not like a lot of them listed. Now, if you have like a J. Crew shirt or something that, there's going to be a lot of, the brand is saturated, then I would suggest maybe promoting those. But for, like if you have like a one of a kind item, you don't necessarily need to promote it, because people that are looking for it are going to find it. It's going to come up in search because it's going to be one of the few. And you don't have to promote every single listing. I do use it and I do get sales from it, but I also don't always use the recommended amount. I usually will take it down a notch. Yeah, because they usually will take a good chunk of, of your item. So you have to kind of weigh that, but yeah.
Totally.
And our next tip is to take advantage of your store branding. And okay, so eBay allows you to have a professional display with your logo and branding. Now, this is the about page, and people often don't realize that you can also add your logo and banner there and on your store. So there it is on my about page. You can have a little blurb. And if you don't have a store, which everyone should, you can still add branding there without having a banner and a logo anywhere, because you won't have it on your store. But you can still, that is a place if you don't have a store and you just like maybe are, do a couple items a week or something like that, you don't want a store. That's a way that you can do branding on your about page. I am a graphic designer, so full disclosure, this is my store, this is my design, and I do designs. I am taking work right now. So anybody that needs a store logo and banner, business cards, package inserts, stickers, anything like that. Even like I do Etsy stores, I do Poshmark, I do, Poshmark logos, I do branding for everything. So anything you need, I can help you with. And
some of your other designs.
I feel, yeah. So this is what you can do with the branding. So this is one store. I'm just going to show you a few stores that I did, a few brands. So she loves horses. This is my friend Sabrina. She had a specific mindset of what she wanted. And so I brought that to life. So that's her brand. And, I think I did business cards for her as well that match. And it's a nice little package. It gives you a professional feel to, people that come into your store. It's like, oh, this is a serious business. I think it gives people more of a feeling, like a confidence to buy, like this is a real business. This is a person that's professional. They care enough about their business to make it look, to make it look professional. So I think it does.
Yeah, we're about to start working on design for my store. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I'm realizing as I think about what I want in a design is it's really helping me also think through like how I want my store to seem to buyers and what kind of vibe I want. And that also can help you really hone in on what you want to be doing as a seller, what kind of items you want to be sourcing. So I think it's a great investment in your business because it really makes you also feel like you're taking it to the next level and you're really taking this seriously. So I love that whole thought process is really helping me right now.
And you can add your logo to your invoices too. You can send emails with your logo. You can do all kinds of, there's another design I did. They have their stores. I mean, they started out as a bookstore, so they wanted the logo to have something, to do with books, and they wanted books to be prominent, but they sell other items as well. So I kind of got a mixture of some of the items that some of their actual pictures, their photos from items in their store. So there's another one that I did, so you can see. And this is one that I just finished this week for another person, a member of the Secret Beach, actually. And they sell a lot of vintage, and they had that wonderful name, Memory Lane and Beyond. So I wanted to make it look kind of, quaint and kind of, the vintage, but kind of nostalgic. And so there's another example, and I did business cards for them too that match. So they can take the branding further. And then when you not only, when people are looking in your store, but then they get the full experience, because when they get the item, they see your branding continued. So it's a very professional thing to do. So you should definitely be doing this, and you can definitely hire me. I will give you a discount if you mention that you saw it here on the show. So.
Yeah, totally.
And
you have a call. So this is yours.
My store. Yeah, that was my store. And then this is Tim, Tim's design. That was his store. I tried to make the logo look kind of like him because he wears the baseball caps a lot. So I made it, kind of. And then there's an example of one that I did a banner and, a store logo. And then there's a front and back business card. I designed that logo for her. She wanted it to kind of look like stitching, like craft. She does a lot of crafts and stuff. So, so that I designed that was logo. And then there's a business card. So she can send that. And she also has not just her eBay branding, but her Etsy and Poshmark there too. So she can send that.
That
Yeah.
is a great way to get your customers to find you across platforms, especially if you might have slightly different items. Like I'm sure maybe on Etsy, you can have completely different
Yeah.
inventory than on Poshmark, for
Yeah.
example.
So there's a way that you can also get more business, through eBay, but through cross promoting your different venues, because you can't do that through eBay itself. You can't send somebody a message through eBay saying, you can't take it off eBay and say, go to my Poshmark store. But there's no rule against, sending something branded with, just a note of the other places that you are. So
yeah, and
you have your
if you
social
like
media,
eBay, you might like my upcycled vintage
exactly.
clothing on Etsy.
So that's the kind of thing that I'm talking about when I say, use the branding. And then this is another one. And I did some seasonal banners for her as well. She has she loves flamingos. She collects flamingos. She sells flamingos, and she lives in Florida. So she wanted it to be, different flamingos kind of dressed up in some of the items that she wears. And she wanted a grandpa flamingo. So, I brought that to life. But there's an example of I did a banner. I did seasonal versions of it too, with like a 4th of July one, a fall one, a holiday one with Christmas and stuff. They, like they have string lights and grandpa's dressed in a Santa outfit, things like that. But then she has the package inserts, the double-sided cards, with a discount. And that's another way that you can bring your buyers in to purchase again. You can get a repeat buyer through sending a double-sided postcard like that and closing that with a discount for a future purchase, so you can get repeat buyers through this as well. And then there's a sticker that I did for her too, to match that, she can, that's another nice added touch, wrap it in tissue paper, put your branded sticker, and there you go. You're advertising and you're giving it that nice professional feel. So
Absolutely.
So
and
yeah, so definitely take advantage of that. And that is something that you should be doing, because I see so many stores where they just have like something blank or something like nothing there, or something like really bad. And it just looks so unprofessional. It just doesn't, like, when I see those stores, I don't get the feel like they take their business seriously. So
yeah, and I think a lot of people assume that buyers on eBay aren't going to click through to your store and browse through all of your inventory, because it's mostly through specific searches that people are finding things. And I mean, I know as a buyer, I do a combination. Like I will be looking for one specific item, but if I find a seller that I can tell is a reseller and they have a ton of, a diverse amount of different items, I'll take the time to browse through them, because if there's something else I want, I can save shipping by having, or people will have, 25% off multiple items or something. Like I'll definitely take advantage of those deals too. And at that point, I will take my time to really look through your inventory. And especially when what I'm looking for is a craft item, like, I buy a lot of fabric and yarn on eBay.
Mhm.
And I find a store where that's what they specialize in. It really matters to me as a buyer to see that this person knows their stuff, and they're
exactly.
Selling only this type of item, and they clearly know what they're doing. And if I have questions, they will answer it. And so all of the branding helps feed into that kind of
And if you have
so
your
really
brand in multiple places, like the about page, like on your invoices, all of your, if you do it like, and you have that, then people are more likely to see it and to get that, and to click into your store too. So
totally.
So what's our next tip is, you have it up.
Take advantage of research tools. And this is something that eBay has really improved, I think, over the past few years. And I definitely need to take this advice myself, because I haven't really gotten into using Terapeak yet. But that is, an incredible resource that we now have access to. So, Nee, do you want to?
So it used to be a subscription. You'd have to pay for a separate Terapeak subscription, and it was expensive. Now, if you have a store, you get it for free, and you should be taking advantage of it. Now, here's the advantage with Terapeak. You can search back last 365 days of. Now, if you do a custom, just a sold search in eBay, which is fine, for something, if you just want to get a quick idea in the thrift store, you can sort from high to low. You can, get an idea that way, but it only goes back, I think, is it 60 days or 90 days? It's only a couple months. So this way, you can get a further, and you can get more, and you can get analytics, more statistics for the sell-through rate on the item, for, how many other sellers are doing free shipping on the item, things like that. So you can get a lot more information than just doing a eBay sold search. So you should definitely be using that, and it's integrated right into your seller hub. That's my seller hub, and it's very prominent right there. You can. So I do on the fly. I use my mobile app a lot, and I just, like when I'm in the thrift store, I'll do sort high to low. But if I'm researching, when I'm researching at home to list, especially if I have, higher cost items or items that I'm not quite sure, about, I will look them up in Terapeak. It's a great tool.
Yeah, and that's perfect for when you have that like unusual item that there wasn't anything like it sold recently. So you have to dig back further versus maybe like a top or a t-shirt that, there's more like it, or you kind of know how much it is.
I think for like the rare and collectible items, it's definitely valuable. So, and you can search for, I think I have the other screen too, where there's like, you can see
is this the regular or the Terapeak?
No, that's the Terapeak. So you can see on the top there, the analytics, how many have free shipping, the average shipping cost, the average price range, the sell-through rate, all of that. So you can, and how many sold, and the sell-through rate is very important, because you don't want to get, an item that is going to, you might see it up for a lot of money. You might see, and then you might click through your solds, and you might see some that, but then you might see that there were like 200 listed and only like 2 sold, so that's not. So that gives you a better idea of that, and translates that to a percentage. So
right, makes sense.
And then the other thing is, eBay sold in general, you can search high to low. And I said I do that in the thrift store on the fly. And then you can search for the completed but not sold items as well. So I recommend that more for like on the fly in the mobile app. But the Terapeak, like when you're sitting down to research, definitely should take advantage of that. Barcode search is another one. Now, it's great for scanning items like CDs, other barcoded items in the thrift store. Unfortunately, I don't know what I did with my DVD that I had there, but there it is. So here's the DVD that I have here. Whoops. So this is just one of my kids' DVDs that I grab. And so what you can do is not just DVDs and CDs, but like other things like printer ink, anything with a barcode, health and beauty items, things like that. It's not as perfect as Amazon's barcode reader. It will, because it has to be stuff that was actually entered in the catalog. So a lot of things people list without actually entering them in the catalog too. So it won't give you, so I do recommend still typing it in and doing a manual search. However, it's a great on the fly thing to say, hey, I see this DVD in the thrift store. Let me scan it and see. And you can get a quick idea of what they're going for. And like this one, I would say, $5.53 with free shipping. That's pretty much going to be a dud. I know that. But it's real easy. All you have to do is click on there's a little photo icon in the search. You click on that, and then it changes to a barcode. You just hold it in the middle, center that red line, and boom, it pulls up the UPC, and it'll pull up all the results for that item. So super easy. And so, and then the other one is the image search. So that's similar to that. So that's the image search is similar to the barcode search, where you access it from the same spot. You go to your little search bar on the mobile app, and you can click on the little camera there, and then it'll bring up your camera, and it will actually, you can take your picture of the item. Like I took a picture of the front of this. See where it's circled there, that's where you click on the little camera thing, and then you just click the blue dot there. See the blue dot there? You can just click that on your camera, take a picture. I took a picture of the cover, and it actually brought up more search results than the UPC scan on this. So you can see there were a whole bunch of them, and so it's a quick, and then you could do an advanced search, and you can filter out like the solds and whatnot, but it's a really quick way to just get a feel, an idea. And again, it's not perfect. The barcode, it's got some issues, but it's it's a great, it's a nice feature, both image search and I love that you can just take a picture of an item with your phone and it'll bring up, because sometimes like I'll have a certain style of shoes or something and I'm trying to find them and I can't, and if I take a picture of it, it'll bring up similar. And if I scroll through, sure enough, a lot of times I will find, something in that style. So, and I'll be able to find the name from that. So that's another way that you can use the photo image search.
Yeah, I could see that working really well for certain items like a Lily Pulitzer dress, where you're trying to find the print name and then you search the print and you find someone who listed it with the print name included.
Yes. So you can do a Google image search too, but this is a nice feature within eBay itself to see what, what's on eBay. So it's helpful. It's definitely helpful. And
then advanced search.
Oh yeah, advanced search is another one that you can, I definitely suggest using that to show completeds. You can do just completeds that haven't sold. You can do both sold and completeds, and you can do what format you want. You can really hone in on different, you can do sizes, you can do category, everything. There's just so many things that you can narrow your search down that way. So that's definitely use the advanced search too. And you can do advanced search on mobile as well. So there is, I think I had the next screen too down. Like you can do, you click on that.
Heather says, I found that the regular search changed for finding solds. I noticed, I think that they actually simplified it on mobile.
Yeah, it's easier on mobile, but
yeah, so it's gotten easier on mobile, but maybe a little bit harder on desktop. I don't search enough on desktop too.
I don't either. I use the mobile app for everything, pretty much for listing and for everything. So that's just easier for me, but definitely you can use advanced search on either. And there's some more of the options. You can see the what has free shipping, all of that. So
yeah, and I really like searching by location, which is something you can do. I mean, and you can do anywhere, obviously, but if you look up in your own area, it's really interesting to see what other people are selling in your area. It can give you ideas for sourcing opportunities if it looks like people are selling, certain types of items, and then they might be sourcing locally also. And you can also find people who are near to you who are selling big lots or larger items that maybe you can benefit from being able to pick it up locally and then flip it on eBay, part out the lot or whatever.
Yeah. And then I'm sorry. No, the last tool that I would definitely say to that I would recommend is just the eBay app itself, the mobile app. If you have an Android or an iPhone, or definitely take full advantage of that. You should all have a smartphone. You should be using that app. Even if you have an iPad that you can take to their store. You don't have an actual phone. You definitely need that to be able to research on the fly. So, and it's so easy to list, to do everything, so I have 3 kids. I'm busy, if I'm in the kitchen, making them lunch and I want to check, something on eBay or whatever, I have my phone there. I can just, I hear a cha-ching. I can click it, see what's sold. I hear a notification to get a note that a buyer asked a question. I can, quick answer their question while I'm making my kids lunch or whatever, so it's a great tool.
And your next tip is to ship quickly, economically, and efficiently.
Yeah. So what I mean by this is definitely, so use your eBay tools to ship the most cost effectively and most efficiently. So there is a learning curve with shipping on eBay. It is definitely the most difficult platform of all to ship on. So I do feel like it's not perfect. I wish they would have a better negotiated rate with USPS, because Poshmark does, Depop does, Mercari, they all have, and then there's eBay. So, it is more difficult, but once you learn it, you get to know some ways around, saving on costs. One is what we've talked about before that Jason got me to do is to use pirate ship, especially for international packages that are 4 pounds or under, and make sure that you click that you get the simple export rate. You have to ask for that. And once you get that, it is much more economical, and you can pass that discount on to your buyers. because and beat your competition out a little bit with your international shipping costs that way. And also they do give you a discount on domestic. I actually just did my first domestic label with Pirate Ship through, it was a priority, and it was I think it was actually a couple cents cheaper than it would have been on eBay. So, I mean, a couple cents is a couple cents. It adds up, so that is a nice alternative. And you can use GSP, global shipping, for higher ticket items, international items. Like if I sell a $500 item, I'm going to ship it GSP. That's just me. I know a lot of people don't like, I don't do everything GSP anymore, though. I've really moved away from that. I was doing first class international, but now I'm using Pirate Ship. The other thing that you can do if you want that added security is to use the new eBay International delivery, which you don't get the refund up front. I have an issue right now with a package from Israel, and we all know with COVID that international shipping is taking a lot longer. And this package I sent at the end of March, and it still has not reached the buyer in Israel. So the buyer has said, hey, if it goes till the end of July, I want my refund. That's the bottom line. And I understand, they've waited long enough. They've been very patient. So what I will do, I found out through eBay, what I have to do is it doesn't work like GSP. What I will have to do is refund them up front and then file a claim with the eBay International Standard. You can file a claim after. Don't know, I haven't gone through the process yet, but if I have to go through it with this Israel package, I will let you know how that goes. And then they will reimburse you. So if the item if it gets lost, if it gets damaged, that kind of thing. So you have kind of a back end insurance that way. So that's another option, another alternative to GSP, if you want that added security. As far as flat rate shipping, you can either do fixed rate shipping or you can do calculated shipping. So if you do calculated, then you will need to have the exact weight, and it'll be estimated by the distance. The advantage I found, what I do a lot of times, especially in lighter weight items, to beat out my competitors, I've stopped doing free shipping on everything. That does bump you in search, but I still do free shipping on some items. But on a lot of items, what I'll do is I'll do a flat rate shipping, I'll do a fixed rate shipping, and I'll give them a discount. So I'll say okay, priority mail, it'll be $6. Which is giving them, I could do a padded flat rate for $8, and for it's like 8 and some change, I think. But so I can do that, and I'm still shelling out a couple dollars, but I'm giving them a nice discount, which makes it more attractive to my listing, more attractive. So I'm not giving them the free shipping, but I'm still giving them a discount, which gives me a boost, I don't know if it gives me a necessarily boost in search, but it'll give me.
If your buyers are doing the math in their head.
Exactly.
So they're between your item and another, they'll take that into account.
Yeah, exactly. So that's another option that you can do. And I will do that a lot on mine. And then make sure if you do free shipping, I don't recommend it on heavy items. And I don't recommend doing it, bulky items, you have to take that into account. I have done that before and then gotten on the back end. I've been like, oh, this is oversized, and now I have to pay, So they definitely, especially for those larger items, heavier items, definitely make sure that you account for the size of the box, everything up front, weigh it. You should have a shipping scale, and definitely add enough into your item cost when you have free shipping, because we all know it's not really free. You have to add it into your cost. So definitely. And shipping scales, I recommend a digital scale that you can input right into eBay. It'll input your weight. Stamps.com has a great scale. I have two. My one was one of the free scales from Stamps, which works great. And then offer a second shipping option, which you can do, especially during the holidays when people want things fast. You can do priority shipping as your first, and then you can do a second express option so that people can get it overnight or, quickly if they want it for a gift. So I will do that on some of my listings closer to the holidays on those items that look like, that people are going to want. for gifts. And you can do like first class as your first option, and then you can do priority as your second. You can also do free shipping on your first, like you can do a free media mail maybe on a book. And then as your second, you can do a priority padded flat rate. And maybe they're going to bump it up. They'll see the free shipping that'll get you bumped up in search, but maybe they want it faster. So they're going to pay for the other method. So that's another thing that you can do. Definitely use the priority flat rates to your advantage. Have all of your supplies on hand, order everything from the post office ahead of time, keep those items in stock. And if you maintain TRS, I just got my TRS back. I don't want to jinx it because I know I'll lose it the minute, in my next evaluation if I talk too much about it. But I got it back after forever because I moved from Philly and the post office there just didn't scan my items, and I lost it because of the Philadelphia post office. Won't go on a rant about them, but that's what happened. And I got it back recently now that I moved, and it's been, a year. I've gotten it back. Super excited. And it does give me a little discount on shipping. So that's another thing that, will help you out if you can maintain TRS, have all of your shipping supplies on hand, like I talked about. And take advantage, if you have a store subscription, take advantage of the free eBay branded shipping supplies quarterly coupon with your store subscription that is offered quarterly. It does not roll over, so don't miss out on it. You can go through a quarter and not use it. You're not going to get it back. So definitely use that. I have the middle tier store. I get $50. I think the next one down is like 25 or something. Try to do 1 day handling to get a boost, but be realistic about your handling time. If you can't do a day, don't overpromise and underdeliver. Always overdeliver and underpromise with anything, and shipping. And then also on shipping, if you promise one shipping method, never downgrade to a lesser method. So sometimes I've messed up and something can go first class and I'm like, darn, I put priority and I have free shipping on it. I am not going to still send it, first class. I'm going to send it priority. My mistake. I did it. They're expecting priority. I'm going to send it priority because you don't want a disappointed buyer. But one thing that you can do to get happy buyers is to upgrade your shipping method. So you can pick like a standard shipping method. There's just a generic or parcel post or whatever, and then upgrade for buyers that are closer to you. So, I do this a lot on CDs and books and DVDs. If something's going closer, like if I have a heavy book and it's going to go media mail, like across to California. But if somebody buys it, and they're local, or it'll fit in a padded flat rate or whatever, I'll bump them up to priority. And what I do is I will message the buyer and say, hey, I just wanted to know I bumped you up to priority. So your shipping window has, decreased a little. Let them know, just send them a little message and let them know, and they'll be happier, So that's another way to get happier buyers. And then consider other options for your large and bulky items like FedEx Home or UPS. With the new dimensional weights for USPS, that went into play about a year ago. It is more costly through USPS now to do bigger items. So I send them as FedEx Home or UPS. So look at your other options and always package carefully and economically. But as we talked about in our shipping episode, that does not mean send things in used food boxes or, So I got a hard drive recently, and a $50 hard drive that came packaged in a combos box.
Oh my God.
A combos like cheese snack box, and it was like super. I have pictures of it. I actually sent it to Jason. He was like, whoa, now it did arrive okay, but I was perturbed because I spent $50 on the hard drive and it came in like a little cardboard food box that had food in it previously. And then they sent it first class. And they wadded up paper, the cardboard flat rate mailers. And that was the padding.
See, and those kind of things, like, it makes you unhappy as a buyer.
Yeah.
But it really, in the end, is going to hurt them more than it hurt you, because the time that they sell that item and it doesn't arrive intact, it's broken, and they didn't send it priority, so they don't have insurance on it, they still are going to have to refund the buyer for the item arriving broken, and they're going to have to eat the cost.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to spend, I mean, a hard drive, that's got moving parts. That's something that's fragile. That's not something
easy. It could look intact when it arrives and not be functional. Like that's very easy for that to happen.
Now it does work. I've tested it. I have not left the seller feedback yet because I want to test it for a little while to make sure that, you know.
Yeah, because that makes me work. The point of a hard drive is that it works long term.
Yeah.
If something's already loose in it and it doesn't last because it was like jostled around in a combos box by the post office, that's something you have to eat the cost of. That's ridiculous.
So when we say package economically, that's not what we mean. We mean, you know, use recycled materials, but don't use your trash to
save your Amazon boxes. I think buyers completely expect to get reused boxes. I appreciate it.
Reused perfectly acceptable, but not
not food boxes.
Exactly. So and then our next tip on that note is so fill in all of your eBay item specifics and use strong keywords. So here is so I know Jason actually talks about the blue dot, which is that. So what you want, that blue dot, it shows up on mobile and on the desktop version. You want to make sure that blue dot is complete because that is where you're going to get the optimal search results, you know, for your buyers, and your item's going to be shown in search well. So that you have to fill out item, you know, I feel like when I list on eBay compared to Poshmark or something, like I'm back in high school taking a quiz, taking a test or something, you know, I feel like I'm taking a mini, a mini quiz. Like it is a lot and it is a little tedious, but that is how eBay works with their algorithm, and that is how buyers will find your items. So you have to fill them out, even though it's tedious, even if it's a pain. If you don't know something, do your research and figure it out. You know, don't be lazy. Don't just not fill them out. I see so many listings without those item specifics, and, you know, buyers aren't going to be finding the items. So get that blue dot filled in. And use, you know, eBay works on the search algorithm, like I said. So the more item specifics that you provide eBay search engine with, the easy and more likely it is for your item to be displayed in search results. And it's especially true when customers filter for your items. If you don't fill in the item specifics, your products are likely to appear low in search results or not at all when filtered. So that's where the advanced search comes into play. When buyers are doing an advanced search, they can click, you know, they can specify to drill down what they want. If you didn't fill out those item specifics, your item is not going to show up in those drilled down search results, so those filtered results. So you want to do that. And you can also add custom item specifics, which I do sometimes, you know, if they're not available, because that, like, if there's a certain style name or something, because that will also show up in search. And that's another way that if you run out of keyword space in the title, you can get those keywords in a prominent place where they're going to show up more so than the description. You should also be adding in the description, but more so in the item specifics. Item specifics and your title are the most important. And use relevant keywords too. Don't use, you know, we always talk, don't use punctuation, don't use unnecessary words like cute or look. I don't know if anybody does. Back in the day, they used to do look with the little at signs, you know, in the middle.
Cues, like I never understood that.
Yeah. It's just so, and then use synonyms, like if I have a pair of heels, of women's heels, I'm going to do shoes, heels, pumps, maybe they're slingbacks. You know, I'm going to do like every keyword I can think of that somebody will search for. So yeah. And use terms that people actually use for items, you know. So, you know, just be careful. And the other thing is, I know, like on CDs and DVDs and whatnot, it's so ridiculous, but when you do the catalog and your title is generated, don't use that auto-generated title, because it'll have like all kinds of punctuation and stuff that doesn't need to be in there, and it'll be redundant. So, you know, definitely redo those. Yeah. So
I will add, I think that because of item specifics, it's okay to start moving more towards readability in titles. Like the title now should function as, this is your, like, almost like an elevator pitch for the item. Like, your buyers skimming through search results, and the one that's the most clear to them as they're reading it is the one they're going to click on. Whereas before, without item specifics, you really wanted to get all the keywords you could in the title. Now you like say the shirt is blue, like maybe you could take out, if you say like navy blue, you could put navy shirt instead, and then know that blue is going to be an item specific or in the description, and it'll come up and search that way.
And you can do, and there's also like an item, I know in clothing, and this it gets redundant because they ask you things twice, and I get so annoyed. But it is kind of good because they do have like a spot for a color, and then there's a manufacturer color. But sometimes, like if you have something new with tags, the it'll be like stardust blue or something like that, you know, on
Which
the
is not a search term unless the buyer is looking for a very specific thing that they want, and then it's
that in there that way. And Heather says not all categories have blue dots. That is true. I actually was, when I was pulling up a listing to find the blue dot on last night, I pulled up a vintage piece of fabric, and it did not have the blue dot, but you should still be adding all the item specifics that you can in those cases too. Just because it doesn't have the blue dot doesn't mean that you don't need to complete them. Definitely, because it still will boost you in search. So
very true. Yeah, so you can kind of mentally think as if there is a blue dot that you're
exactly mental blue dot. Yes. So okay, and our next one is you.
So the rest of the tips are mine, and this is something I think is like almost a broken record for me, but buy things on eBay in order to know what your buyers will experience. So I know, Nay, you have your own buying account, which is pretty common because you don't necessarily want your seller and buyer feedback mixed together. But if you're a new buyer or a new seller, you know, building up some feedback by buying items is totally fine. It's really helpful.
Yeah, and I will buy things for myself on my idea. I just like things that I'm really trying to flip or whatever. I'll, you know, that's the kind of thing that I'll, but
yeah, that's a good reason to use a different account because you don't want that seller to realize that they missed out or, you know, get mad, which they shouldn't, but some people do. So it's really helpful to walk through the steps of buying an item. And sometimes you're going to have a buyer who's maybe not super computer savvy, or they're new to eBay and they come to you with questions. If you've walked yourself through the steps that they're experiencing, you can provide better customer service that way. It can also give you ideas of what you like and what you don't like that other sellers do. So if you're buying an item and you realize that some of the description is just really unclear, you can think, okay, do I do that on any of my items? So I have older items that are like this in the description where there's a lot of unimportant information that's going to make it harder to find the useful information, and then go back and make adjustments on your own listings based on that experience. So I think it's really important to understand both sides of eBay so that you can give your buyers the best experience possible. And I also had one experience like Nate did where the seller sent me an item that was just really poorly packaged, and it almost like it just broke my heart because it was a really sentimental item, and this seller sold all kinds of items in the same category. It was like ephemera and postcards and stuff, and I could just imagine another buyer getting theirs, and mine happened to arrive okay, but they're, you know, someone else's might not have. And it made me realize that when I sell postcards, it's worth it for me to go the extra mile, and I always send it out in like a cardboard flat envelope that, you know, is for items like that to make sure that they stay safe and don't get bent. And that makes it cost a little more to ship. It's a little more expensive materials wise, but I never want that buyer to feel the panic attack I felt when I saw it come in the mail and worry that it didn't arrive safely. So
yeah, so you'll learn what to do and what not to do. You'll get a from the other percent, and you'll also get free shipping supplies a lot of times. So
yeah, you can reuse all your shipping supplies when you buy stuff. That's a good point. And on the topic of customer service, always communicate with your buyers. It's super, super important. So if you get a question, even if you roll your eyes and you're like, oh my God, why are they asking this? Which, like, I definitely have done that.
Oh yeah, like you'll put all the measurements in the description. And what's the bust size? And you just feel like saying, look at the description. But instead,
that actually exact thing happened to me. Someone messaged me and was like, what's the bust size? I'm like, I know it's in the listing. Well, lo and behold, it was not in the listing. I don't know how I managed to not include it.
Yeah.
But so, you know, sometimes the stupid question is not a stupid question, and it's on you. And it's great to be able to say, oh, thank you so much. I'm sorry I missed that. Here's the measurement, and then add it to your listing.
It can help you to revamp your listings too, or to put, if you have more than one person asking a question about your listing, you know, you need to put that in the description because
right. And responding to questions like that shows that you're an engaged seller, that buyers are interested in your item, and so it can help your item come up in eBay searches, higher up. It helps in the algorithm. So I definitely have made sales where someone asked me a question and that buyer didn't turn into an actual buyer, but within the next couple of days it sold to someone else.
I think it definitely does play into the algorithm. It boosts you in search because it shows that your item has interest. And yeah, I agree.
And it can be a little bit of a culture shock if you're new to eBay and you're coming from Poshmark, especially like, Depop and Mercari also have direct messaging systems, but Poshmark does not. So think about eBay messages are often what happens in the comments and the back and forth on Poshmark. And if you have an issue where you need to go to eBay support to talk, about a problem buyer, a little bit like Poshmark, where they can see your back and forth with the buyer in comments, and then also in the private messages that happen when there's a case, eBay support can also see all of that conversation.
Yeah.
So sometimes having those conversations in the eBay messages can really come back and help you because you have this written communication that's all chronicled, and you can use that to your advantage. So be very clear in your messages. It'll help the buyer, but it'll help you protect you as a seller if you have to go to eBay support, because
if you have somebody like clearly saying, if you don't do X, Y, and Z, I will leave you bad feedback. That's feedback extortion. And if they do leave you bad feedback, you can go to eBay and say, hey,
and it'll get removed.
And it'll get removed with no questions because they can look back in that. So
yeah. And so never take conversations off eBay for that very reason, but also because it's against their terms of service. So, it's going to come back to bite you if you think you're going to save some money by doing it through, PayPal, friends and family. Like, just don't, that's a red flag generally that things are not going to go well. So, and you do want that conversation recorded. So there's lots of good reasons to use the eBay conversations. And then lastly, as Nay said earlier, you want to under-promise and over-deliver. So if you are, say, shipping sooner than expected, like Renee said, you're upgrading them to priority. These are all things that are great to communicate to your buyer. On the flip side, if something comes up, which sometimes it does, it's also better to tell your buyer and be really upfront and honest about that than to just cross your fingers and hope they're not upset that their item's late. So, using
the old nip it in the bud, like, you want to, head it off early before it becomes a problem.
Exactly. Yeah. So using messages can just be a great tool to provide great customer service, to make yourself appear higher in searches, and to protect yourself as a seller if something goes wrong.
And did you mention that you can make offers on individual items too?
I did not. So that is a great tip also. If you get a question about a specific item, you can respond and also just give an offer. So sometimes buyers know this, and even if there's not best offer on the item, you can have, someone emails you and is like, oh, I'm really interested in this, but the price is a little bit high, and you're happy with what they're offering, you can respond to them with an actual offer that they can accept, just clicking a button. Or you can just do it as a goodwill gesture. Like, someone shows a lot of interest, they have really good, questions that show that they're very invested in the item. It can help make the sale if you then reply, answer their questions, and say, also, I took 15% off just because you seem like someone who, this should go to a good home, kind of thing.
That is a great feature within eBay messages that you can use, that you should be taking advantage of as well.
And I've definitely made sales that way. So.
I have as well. So. And then our next one is
review and revamp your stale listings. So we are pretty much advocates of like the Li-Fi method, which is list it and forget it. We love buying items that maybe don't have a ton of potential buyers. They're very niche, they're very special, unique, but we know someone out there is going to want it, and we're okay letting it sit for, a year, maybe longer. However, at some point, your item listings get stale. And so it is really helpful to go through, and you don't want to spend a ton of time doing this because it's still more productive for you to be listing unlisted items. But it's also not that hard to just browse through and make sure that your older listings are still, looking good. You can end the item and relist it, and, copy over all the information from your original listing. But when you're doing that, you definitely want to take stock of it and make sure that there's nothing you can redo. So a few things that can change over time are comps. There's lots of examples of bolos that were really hot at one point and just don't sell as well anymore. So you might want to re-look up the comps, adjust the
Like
price.
La Row, that whole craze, that, yeah.
Starbucks mugs is one that I thought of immediately, where they're still in demand, just not the high prices that they used to be.
Exactly.
Yeah. You might want to redo your photos, either because your picture taking skills have improved over time, or it might just be that because phones and cameras are constantly improving, what were totally decent pictures 2 years ago when you took them might already look kind of out of date and low quality. And it's not anything that you did wrong. It's just that your phone, the resolution on your phone when buyers are looking at it is now so much better that you just want to kind of keep up with the times. Your knowledge might improve, best practices on eBay change. So like we were saying with item specifics, you want to be adding those. And then there might be some that don't really need to be in the title anymore. Or you learned new keywords that you wouldn't have thought to add before, but now are really important to buyers of, this type of item.
And eBay also updates their item specifics too. So you might have listed it 2 years ago when certain item specifics weren't available for that. And now you have a whole bunch of blank ones because they didn't exist 2 years ago and you want to.
Yeah. And it is nice. eBay will flag you. It's kind of obnoxious. Like they do it a little overboard, but it is really helpful to know like which ones are the most important to
yeah, I like to pay attention to eBay suggestions on it's right in your seller hub, it's right there. They will give you suggestions on updating. Some of their suggestions are not so great, but like with prices and whatnot, but a lot of their suggestions you should pay attention to because they are things that are getting you bumped down in search.
Absolutely. And you can do a bulk edit. You can use the bulk edit feature, which is super helpful if you have the same problems with multiple listings. It's definitely great to do that, but then sometimes things also fall through the cracks. So I also like to just kind of browse through my listings on the selling section of the mobile app when I have a little bit of free time and just kind of want to browse through. And if anything jumps out at me, then I might, either make a note, mentally flag, or start a draft of a new listing for that item, just to remind myself to go back when I have a chance and really review it.
Yep. And it's a great way. The bulk edit too is great when policy things like I know eBay used to have a 14-day return or 7-day or I think return policy, 14 days. Now they really push the 60-day returns and you have to have at least 30, and so on those older listings, you might want to bump your return policy up, change and you might want to, that's something that you might want to do on every listing. So that
or when shipping prices change and you have to maybe just report it, things like that.
Yep. So.
And the next one is one that I am still working on how I use this, but I think is super helpful, is to use advanced eBay performance tools to analyze your next business move. So the analytics that eBay offers are definitely getting better, and they can give you some really interesting insights if you know how to interpret the data. So the first thing that's really useful to use is the sales report, which breaks down exactly how money is coming in and out of your business. And one thing I like to do is just keep tabs on how much I'm spending on eBay fees. And especially when that email comes that your bill is due and it's always more than you expect. This is a great way to know just where all that money is going and what you're spending money on, where you might be able to fix some of that. So some of that will be maybe shipping costs, your store fees. And then, so we were talking earlier about promoted listings. This will tell you how much you're spending on those promoted listing fees. And so you can evaluate whether it's really working for you, if you might want to bid lower, or if you want to not do it as as many items and pick and choose more specifically which ones you're doing it on. Or maybe you realize that it's working for you fabulously and you're spending money on it, but it's also increased your sales.
Right.
You can also see your month-to-month improvement and also look at your sales this month versus this time last year. So it's a little easier to compare, summer slowdown or around the holidays. It's, more apples to apples comparison, but it can give you an idea of whether you're growing or you're not growing, you're stagnant. And it can also give you some good benchmarks to hit. So you can set yourself goals for the month to month improvement. Maybe you want to double your sales from this time last year in the month of August. So you can figure out what that goal is for you, like, as a hard number. Maybe you want to get your selling costs down. So you want to be more effective with your cost of shipping, or you want to sell more items so that your store subscription is a lower percentage of that number, things like that. So you can really set yourself very specific goals using that data. And then the other thing that I find really helpful is to look at the traffic. So when you're looking on your traffic report on eBay, it will tell you how many times your items are coming up in eBay search, how many times people are clicking through them from, say, Google or an outside source, how many people see them in search and then click through, and then also how many people it took to click through and then to make a sale, which can be more useful if you have a multi-quantity listing, because it'll give you an idea of how many people purchase that item. But it can still be useful to see like how many buyers looked at that item before someone actually bought it, even if it's just a one-off item. So this can be helpful in two ways, and it takes a little bit of sort of critical thinking to look at the numbers and kind of figure out what they're saying. But it can tell you which items are the listings are good and which ones need to be improved. And it can also tell you which items are more in demand and which items there just isn't as much of an audience for. So for example, if you have a high performing item, it might be that that item is really, really in demand, that it's coming up in search because people are searching for it, that maybe it's going viral. If you have, like, I have one item, which for some reason is still sitting in my store. It has not been purchased, but it has like several thousand outside hits from off of eBay. So like somewhere on the internet, I think someone probably included it on a blog post, or maybe it was shared to Pinterest and it was, like repinned and repinned. So people are like clicking on it while it makes the rounds. So that's an interesting item because it is something that was interesting. So but it isn't selling. So that might tell me that like this particular item was a piece of ephemera from the Czech Republic. So I might want to list more of my collection of ephemera from when I lived in Europe that is rarer in the US. And so there's fewer listings in that category of things, but there might be interest in that more broadly. And this one item is just sort of like a weird, like people are looking at it, but not purchasing, So, and vice versa, a low performing item could be either not in demand, it might be worth just considering not keeping it and redonating it, or it could be that that listing just needs a lot of help. And so, you can look at the listing itself and try and see if there are any obvious problems, maybe post it to the thrifting board to get some other people's feedback on what's going wrong with it. And if there's nothing wrong, then maybe it's just the item is stale and nobody wants it, and it's time to cut your losses. So you can get a lot, you can glean a lot from the data, but of course it does take a little bit of like combination of art and science to like look at the numbers and then figure out what they might be trying to tell you.
Yes.
And our last tip for this week is to roll with the punches. So we try to cover in our weekly news segment all of the different changes that happen in eBay. There's always the seller updates. Sometimes people feel like the sky is falling. Usually that's not the case. So whenever eBay changes things, just kind of roll with it and know that the worst case scenario is probably not that bad. So, we're all looking to the start of like managed payments and doing the eBay payment system instead of PayPal. And that's going to be a big change for a lot of us if, some people have already done that, but
we're all in the same boat. Everybody's got to change. You got to make the change anyway, so you might as well embrace it and move on, just roll with it.
Exactly, right. And it could end up being great. Change is hard, but in the long run, it could be a benefit to all of us.
Yeah.
A lot of times if you spend time on online forums or Facebook groups about selling on eBay, there's always going to be people who come with problem buyers. And if you look at the number of people who post, it's definitely a skewed view of buyers, because of course you're going to complain and look for guidance and help about the bad buyers. But like, don't let that get you down. Just kill them with kindness, keep a smile on your face, always use a polite tone, and just know that this is one person in a sea of buyers. And
oh yeah, there's definitely less. The bad buyers that stand out because, but also I've turned them around. I've had people angry and irate and, and I'll be like, just like, Lois, like, kill them with kindness. And I'll, oh, so sorry, I'll, and I'll give you a full refund, I'll pay for the return shipping, whatever you need to do to make it right. And they'll turn around and say, oh, thank you. And they'll change their tune, completely. Maybe they just had a bad experience before, and
yeah, maybe they're having a bad day. You don't know what's going on in that person's life, and they don't know what's going on in yours. And of course, it's not fair for them to take out their frustration on you. But I always just try to like assume best intent and hope that there's a good reason, explanation for why someone is coming across as rude. And just don't let them have any more of your time than they need, because if you stew over it, that's time that you're never going to get back.
Oh yeah, like, is it really worth the time and effort to spend like 2 hours calling customer service and messaging back and forth and stressing yourself out when you could, for a $25 item, when you can just refund and move on and list, multiple $25 items or whatever in that time, and it's just not worth it. So sometimes you have to stop obsessing, cut your losses, refund, and move on.
Mm-hmm. And also, in that note, just don't stress about negative feedback. It's always going to happen. You can't please everyone. You're going to do your best, but there's going to be that one person, and it's going to ruin your 100% positive feedback. And just know that it doesn't say anything about you as a seller. It's just part of the process. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't take it personally. Fix whatever issue, if there is an issue to be fixed, and then move on and learn from it if you can. If you made a mistake, it's really easy as an early eBayer to make a mistake that might end up in negative feedback. And if that's the case, just own up to it and learn. And that's part of your education, and you'll do better next time.
Your first negative feels like the end of the world, but it's not. It'll like, I know when I got my first one, it stressed me out. And what happened to me, mine finally wore off. It was like wore off this past December. I got my first one and then I got another one. It was like, are you kidding me? I got two, like within, and it was two things that completely were out of my control. Post office, issues.
One of them too was when you had bent over backwards to I
item
and get it in the mail.
And then what happened is the replacement that I bought was late and totally, on their end, and they were mad because it didn't get there in time. And they ended up getting 2 items free in that case because my item eventually came. It was delayed with the post office for whatever reason. It went the scenic route, and then the replacement item also arrived. So they got 2 items and still left me a negative feedback. But you can't please everybody. It happens, do
your best.
So the best thing to do is wear it for a year, suck it up, move, it'll wear off. If you're a good seller, 1 or 2 negatives is not going to, kill your business or anything. And if you can't get it removed, apologize, reply factually and professionally to the negative, usually wait a day, calm down, reply factually with the facts, not emotions, and move on. So I have an example there of my one of my 2. I had to go back and search for this because I couldn't even find the darn negative because it had fallen off. But if you can zoom in on that a little bit, so they said sorry. So they said that they didn't receive the item. Now this was one of them. This is a post office issue. I have sent emails, but no solution. Refund, please. Well, at the time that she wrote that, I had gotten like 1 or 2 messages. I immediately replied, told her I was opening a case with the USPS. I would get, and then I just refunded without, because the post office couldn't find it. I think the item eventually did get to her. Totally out of my control, but hey, it happens. And all I did was replied with the facts that I did immediately reply to her. I opened a case and I refunded her in full. Fact.
That's the most you can do.
Yep. So, and then you can send them a feedback revision. Not everyone. I did send, both of my buyers, and neither of them replied, because a lot of times people that leave negatives just aren't, they're just that.
Yeah. And I think the best thing you can do in any of these negative situations is just try to reframe it in your own mind as a positive rather than a negative. So it's a growing opportunity rather than a failure.
Yeah.
It's something you learned from. It was part of your education. You lost money, but that's how much it costs to, start up a business and learn the ropes. And in the end, if you were trying to enter any other business, that the startup cost would be so much higher, so much more prohibitive. So, if you're an early seller, like, just try to think of it that way. Even if you're a seasoned seller, there's always more for you to learn. There's always going to be just that one blip or two blips, and
mistakes are a learning opportunity. And you know what, now, like, I look through periodically after those negatives, it wasn't my fault, it was post office, whatever. But I will now stay on top. If I see something that the shipping is taking a little longer, I'll say, hey, I noticed that your shipping is, seems to be holding up. Don't worry, I'm on it. I'll take care of you, just so that they don't get upset first.
Yeah, totally. Another example of why it's great to be in communication with your buyers, because if there is any issues like that, you can let them know that you know about it, and that gives them that much more confidence. Maybe they'll be more patient. They'll be willing to wait because they know if it doesn't show up in a few more days, you will give a refund and you'll deal with it.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, in sum, just don't take anything personally. Don't stew over, a couple less than perfect transactions. Just, don't waste any of your time or emotional energy on that stuff, and move on to the next one and double down your listing, and you'll be fine.
Yeah. And you should, the other, you can kind of mitigate things happening by, pad your PayPal account, leave extra money in there for returns, because you don't want to have that bad situation where you don't have the money available.
Yeah, because that's when it gets really stressful, is when you fear that you don't have the money to be able to afford to refund someone's money. So just don't let yourself get into that position, and it will be much easier to weather the storm.
Especially if you're selling a high ticket item, leave that money. Don't touch that money until you know that the buyer is in return.
They've left positive feedback, or even just to be safe until the PayPal return window is closed, so that there's no way that they could come wanting a return and you've already spent that money on new inventory or whatever.
Yeah. So definitely. And don't fight returns. They happen. They're going to be forced if you don't have a generous return policy. So it bumps you in search, and it discourages buyers from item not as described, and encourage them to buy with confidence. So returns are an opportunity too to sell it for more next time. I have a skirt coming back right now, Lily Pulitzer skirt, and I had taken a best offer on it, and maybe I'll sell it for more next time. It didn't fit. Nothing of my fault, but it happens. And don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive. And the bottom line is, don't take things personal. It's business. It's not personal. So that was our number 10. And on that note, we're going to wrap up with, we have some breaking.
We have a little bit of breaking news. It's an ongoing story that we've been talking about, and that's just the current state of the post office. So we have before mentioned that the post office is in really shaky ground because of it's not healthy in terms of funding. It hasn't been able to get the funding it really needs from the government. So this week there are a few stories about how this is really going to start affecting customers. And I thought there are a few other articles out there, but this one from the week was really comprehensive and just sort of goes through a little bit of the history, and it talks about how the shortfall and the fact that the USPS has had to pre-fund pensions, and basically the money is running out, and we will probably start seeing more delays. I was just totally appalled to read here that a lot of the mail trucks are basically catching on fire because they're so old and they haven't been replaced, and none of them are air conditioned, which I think I had heard before, but just reading that again just, made me really upset. So.
And they're also encouraging postal carriers, instead they don't want them to do overtime. Instead, they're saying to just leave the mail behind for the next day if they can't get it all out. Instead of breaking, going the extra mile, they're so things are going to be left behind, things are going to be delayed, and that's just what it's going to be.
Right. So, I think it's important, like we said, as sellers to remember to under promise and over deliver. So maybe this might mean adding an extra padding if you usually ship very fast, just to give yourself a buffer in case things do go, your items don't get picked up.
Especially with eBay, they have those predetermined, shipping times that they feel, and then if it's slower than that, you will get, it'll mess with your metrics. So you might want to start choosing standard delivery and still ship them priority, or, but you might want to rethink that a little bit, because hopefully they'll, if down the road they'll update those windows, but right now I doubt they will be. So, if things are going to be a little slower, you might want to, just don't, again, don't stress about it, but it's something to be aware of.
Our weekly market report.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like you had some great sales.
Yeah, so I had this was a embroidered Southwest denim vest. It was a size extra small, so it was super tiny Western horse. I had received a best offer for like $20, and I declined. I countered, but and then I saw that was actually a reseller. She had a bunch of vintage items, so I think that she was looking to resell it. But I got another best offer. Somebody bought it for $49.99 for full price, plus shipping after that. So that was a great sale. Another one, this was a bonus blue box haul. I just wanted to show, I've been showing these blue box shoe boxes, and this was, I paid about an average of $8 a pair. I sold these for $49.99 plus shipping. They were cycling shoes, men's. And then, so those blue boxes have really been paying off. Another blue box sale was those, these were, I received like a $10 offer, and then they ended up selling at full price. So it seems like those lower offers kind of trigger something in the algorithm. And I sold those for $18.99. It was with free shipping, but they were just really easy to, actually they went first class because they were under £1. So super late. So, and then another one from the blue box hauls that I think I showed these last week on my little mini blue box haul, and they already sold for $29.99 plus shipping. And again, 5 pairs I got for that $39.99 a box with shipping. So paid about $8 a pair. Another great quick sale. So
and you had one more then.
Oh yeah. So this one it was a vintage women's Hawaiian dress. It was bark cloth. It was gorgeous. And I took a best offer for $59.99. I paid $8.99, and they paid shipping on top of that. So
that is awesome. Those like loose flowy dresses are super in right now because people are working from home and want to be comfortable.
Yeah, I'm in the process of losing some weight, so I wanted to say that was like one of the dresses I wanted to save, but I sold it. There's a couple other dresses that I am saving that I will not part with, but that was one of the vintage Hawaiian dresses that I kind of had in the back of my mind keep, but I parted with it. So.
It was a good sale, and there will be another in your future.
Absolutely.
So I sold on eBay this pair of 90s jeans. Not a huge sale, but I was really surprised that someone, I think they paid outright, or they asked for like $1 off. Their best offer. It was like, of course I took it. Paid shipping, and it sold on eBay. I really thought these were going to sell on Depop or Poshmark, but it's a good reminder to cross listing. It doesn't take you very long, can still result in unexpected sales.
Yep.
And then I sold another of my knitting books on Amazon, which was really nice because I don't have a ton of listings on Amazon. And every time I get that email that's like sold, ship now, it's this great feeling of like bonus money. And it's not a ton, but it's like $4 profit at the end of it. And I'm trying to sell off books enough to cover the cost of the slot I bought on Shop Goodwill. And I'm like a third of the way there. So, I'm not rushing it, but it'll be nice at the end to be able to say like all of these books that I'm keeping, I basically got for free because I sold half the lot and kept it.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's a great thing
Yeah.
to do. Yeah. So yeah. So and we
as always, have a question for you, which is, what is your best eBay tip? So we shared some of ours. If you have anything to add or expand on what we said, or if you happen to disagree, there's lots of different ways to sell on eBay successfully. So we would love to hear your take on anything we said, what you would add. And we love learning from you as well. So we look forward to doing that. If you have your own tip to share, you can leave it in the comments after this video is over. And we're currently live, but if you're watching live, you can come back and comment later. If you're watching this after the live show, we're so glad you're here, and we hope you will leave your thoughts in the comments.
Yes, please.
And as always, Nay.
Yes, we're all over the place online. I'm mostly Thrifty Nay, except for and also I'm Thrifty Nay Mercari too. And I keep saying I gotta update this. I'll do it one of these days. I am Colbray Dazzle or Colbray's Dazzling Finds on eBay. I will be doing Lola's new branding soon, and we'll get her store up there as well, which is
Lo-fi with 2 or 3 dashes between low and fi. I should remember that.
Okay, well, we'll get that up there. And then we are naylothrifts@gmail.com. You can email us. You can, send us any comments, questions. If you have an idea for an upcoming video, the topic that you want us to discuss, we're open for ideas. If you want to be a future guest or know someone that would be a good guest, definitely let us know. And we will be back next week, possibly with a guest. I have not gotten the confirmation on that yet. But if not, we'll be back next week. And I think we are going to change our time now to 1 o'clock, because it seems like every Friday I've been taking my parents to the doctors and helping them out with some stuff. So it seems like inevitably they have appointments on Friday morning. So I think 1 o'clock is probably going to work better for us. So moving forward, I think we're just going to keep it at 1. And that's Eastern time. And thank you for tuning in. And I hope everyone has a great week. Thank you, Janet. I'm glad that you enjoyed watching. And
we'll see you next week.
Yes, we'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.